those kind of things. And obviously, because we're on an independent label, it's much more difficult because we have virtually no facilities whatsoever to do anything. So just really arranging a trip to Spain takes up a full year, almost.
Right. To digress again, I don't know if you've heard that Mick Jagger has been cast as Dorian in a Hollywood production of Picture of Dorian Gray. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm totally speechless. I mean, if you told me that Bugs Bunny had been cast in the part, I would be less shocked. I think it's the Dallas mentality, really. Let's get as many famous faces in here as possible, regardless of what happens to the script.
Okay, getting back to the Smiths. Do you think you'll get sick of the standard like vocals, guitar, bass, drums lineup and want to go into
opera?
No. I mean, you bring in some keyboards or small strings and things like that.
Yes. We want to do that. Yes, and we will do that on the next LP.
Why was Shakespeare's Sister not on Meet His Murder?
Because
commercial reasons.
No. It happened after Meet His Murder. We just walked into the studio one day and it just simply appeared, and the LP had already been released, so it was quite impossible to get it on.
Why not release something off the record?
Well, that's a good question. That's a very tricky question. It all boils down to record company politics. I think finally something is about to be released. A track called That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore. A little late, I realise, but it's not a bad old song anyway. So, but I must say I think something should have been released much earlier. But at the time when the LP came out, Rough Trade were quite adamant that an older track, How Soon Is Now, be re-released in this country as an A-side, and it was, and of course it was much to be regretted because it didn't really do anything substantial.
Still a fine song. Still a fine song.
It's not bad.
Does it worry you that you've got so much influence, as it were?
No, I mean, would it worry you? No, it's nice to have influence. I mean, obviously, if everybody thought I was a total, simpleton, I'd worry then. No, influence is it's quite a nice thing to have. Better than having, acne or something.
How will you know when you've come to the end of your
I'd probably
life?
be lying on the middle of the floor, and I'd probably weigh a stone. Probably. No, I think I'll know. I mean, one just instinctively knows these things. There's a little bell inside one's head that rings, a danger bell, rings occasionally. I'll know. I mean, when I start grappling and I start stuttering and really being hesitant about what I'm trying to do, and then I'll just, jump out the window, probably.
Do you consciously analyse everything you do in the direction you go?
Yes, I do indeed. It's just a matter of being thorough, really, because there's so many persuasive influences that surround you in this business. So many people who are dying to get you into, a Salvation Army suit or something, or whatever, or dress you up as an orange. It's quite frightening, so you have to cling to your principles.
Right. You've got quite a fascination with films from the 60s, I believe, like The L-Shaped Room and so on.
Yes,
what is it about them that you like?
I'm afraid that they probably will remind me of my childhood, because I lived in lots of those circumstances, and I also think that I gaze upon it fondly because it was the first time in the entire history of film where regional dialects were allowed to come to the fore, and people were allowed to talk about squalor and general depression, and it wasn't necessarily a shameful thing. It was quite positive. I mean, if you notice films, British films of the late 1950s, even films which deal with army themes or war themes, all the people who are in the army or whatever all have wonderfully crisp theatrical voices, but yet from I think Room at the Top or Saturday Night and Sunday Morning onwards, people are just allowed to be real instead of being glamorous and Hollywoodian, if that is a word, and I sincerely hope it isn't. It sounds awful.
Right, okay. The New York Dolls, what was it about them that you liked?
Oh, I still haven't a clue. I'm still trying to work that one out. Well, the music industry hated them, and that was good enough for me. I thought, well, yes, that's the group for me. The music industry couldn't wait to get rid of the New York Dolls. They were quite clamorous and raucous, and so many people said they couldn't actually play, which was not entirely true. But you must remember, throughout the periods of 73 and 74 when they existed, they were quite dank times, and they were quite stylish times, almost offensively stylish, should I say. And the New York Dolls were just the antidote to everything refined, and I thought that was wonderful.
Right. Have you ever met any of them?
Yes, I did. I met the drummer and the guitarist a long time ago, and they were completely unfriendly.
Really?
Mm.
But why did that infatuation sort of end?
I think, they broke up in 1975, and after that there wasn't really anything to retain one's interest apart from the 2 LPs that they had made. So, they just faded, really. And I still have vague fond memories, but it's not really terribly important to me. I think they were the single most important group to me as an adolescent.
Right. Do you look back on your adolescence with fondness?
No, it was a dreadful time. It was an awful period. I certainly can't deny that. It was quite very difficult, very isolated, very alienating, and all those usual things that teenagers complain of. But I certainly complain of them now.
Right. Your interviews are all, I hope, very honest, and especially the early interviews that you read. They get right down to tin tacks, as it were.
Well, you could put it that way, yes.
And then you've had it thrown back at you, and people have labelled you as being sort of arrogant and conceited. I mean,
it's really unbelievable. I mean, yes, it's shocking. People find me quite uncomfortably honest, but this is only because they're used to, quite cold individuals dominating the music scene, for the want of a better term. And if you really want to talk quite openly and drop your defences, as it were, it's seen as being quite unnerving, because people just simply aren't used to it. It's like if somebody sits next to you on the bus and says, I really like your jacket or your trousers, you immediately run away, which is the wrong thing to do. But it's the same way within music. People are just so used to this glossy nothingness. And also, if you have a degree of intellect, you actually run the risk of making your critics and the journalists seem quite dull in comparison, so they don't like it. Fools.
Well, you've got somebody from the NME waiting, so you can
oh, yes, indeed.
do battle with them.
Yes.
Do you celebrate your birthday?
Well, it's in a few days, and I certainly do not. No, I never have. It's just, it's just another day, really.
Right. What purpose did the time when you were, shall we say, reclusive? What purpose did that serve?
A tremendous purpose in quite a perverted way, because for me it was almost like being in the army. I don't know why I'm laughing, because I'm sure the army isn't a very pleasurable experience. It was like being in the army. It was like going through this. It was like training for the Olympics, almost going through these years of preparation. And I think that because those years existed, I now can cope with what's happening to me quite successfully, and I'm not easily tripped up. So